America remembers inventors, tycoons, and famous scientists, but one of the men who may have saved millions is barely remembered at all. His name was Clair Patterson, and he uncovered a truth so dangerous that powerful industries spent years trying to ignore it. He did not begin as a crusader, a public hero, or a man trying to challenge the machinery of modern America. He began as a scientist, patient and precise, trying to answer a question so ancient it seemed almost untouched by politics. How old is the Earth might sound like a peaceful question, but it led him into one of America's dirtiest hidden battles. What he discovered was not only about time, but about contamination, denial, and a poison so common people barely noticed it. Clair Cameron Patterson was born in 1922 in Iowa, into a country that still believed progress was almost always a blessing. He grew up during an era when science was increasingly seen as a force that could solve nearly anything placed before it. Curiosity came naturally to him, but so did discipline, the kind that would later become essential in work requiring impossible precision. He was not built for spectacle or self-promotion, which may be one reason history later allowed his name to drift away. During World War II, Patterson studied chemistry and entered a world where scientific skill was increasingly tied to national urgency. Like many of his generation, he came of age in a century where scientific discovery and industrial expansion moved together at terrifying speed. After the war, he pursued graduate research and joined a scientific effort focused on one of geology's greatest unresolved mysteries. The mission was elegant in theory: determine the age of the Earth by measuring the decay of uranium into lead. It sounds straightforward now, but at the time the challenge was so difficult it bordered on scientific obsession. To answer it correctly, Patterson needed samples clean enough to measure trace amounts of lead with extraordinary accuracy. That requirement pushed him into a problem no one had fully appreciated, because almost everything around him was already contaminated. His equipment, his lab, the air, the surfaces, even supposedly controlled environments were full of lead pollution. At first, this looked like technical frustration, one more obstacle in a difficult experiment, annoying but not yet historically significant. But the deeper he went, the more impossible it became to ignore what the contamination was actually telling him. The world was saturated with lead at levels that should not have been there, and modern life seemed to be the cause. Patterson realized he could not solve the age of the Earth until he first solved the contamination of his own present. So he did something revolutionary in method, though not yet in public meaning. He built one of the first ultra-clean laboratories. Inside that carefully controlled environment, he stripped away interference and pursued measurement with a level of rigor few had attempted before. It was painstaking, expensive, exhausting work, the kind that rarely looks dramatic from the outside but changes everything underneath. In 1956, Clair Patterson succeeded in producing the first reliable modern estimate of Earth's age, about 4.55 billion years. It was a scientific triumph, elegant and profound, the kind of result that should have secured a quiet but lasting legacy. But Patterson had seen something else along the way, something far closer, far uglier, and far more politically dangerous. Lead contamination was everywhere, and it was not simply natural background noise left over from the ancient Earth. It was being blasted into the modern environment by human activity on a scale almost too large to absorb. One of the main culprits was tetraethyl lead, an additive long used in gasoline to improve engine performance. For decades, industry had normalized it, defended it, and helped fold it into the texture of everyday American life. Cars burned leaded gasoline across cities and highways, sending toxic particles into the air. People breathed without second thought. The danger was not cinematic or obvious. It was invisible, gradual, and therefore easy for society to dismiss. That made it especially powerful, because poisons that arrive quietly often survive longest inside systems built around convenience. Patterson began comparing ancient natural samples with modern ones, including deep ocean water, sediments, and polar ice. What he found was deeply disturbing. Modern lead levels were dramatically higher than natural historical baselines. In other words, industrial civilization had flooded the environment with lead far beyond what the planet had normally carried. This was not just a technical detail for chemists. It was a public health warning of enormous significance. Because if the environment was contaminated this heavily, human bodies almost certainly were too. Here the story changes from scientific achievement to moral confrontation, because truth becomes dangerous when profit depends on keeping it blurry. Patterson started speaking more openly about the risks of widespread lead exposure and the scale of environmental contamination. He argued that lead from industrial activity, especially gasoline, was entering the air, the oceans, the food chain, and human life. This did not make him popular with the institutions that had built careers, reputations, and fortunes around the opposite assumption. Powerful industry voices had spent years minimizing concern, shaping public understanding, and defending the normality of leaded modern life. Some scientists and consultants were financially entangled with the industries benefiting from lead, whether directly or indirectly. Patterson was not attacking a single bad actor. He was colliding with an entire ecosystem of convenience, money, and denial. And because he was precise rather than theatrical, his threat to that system was unusually difficult to dismiss once understood. He testified, published, argued, and pushed against resistance that was often bureaucratic, subtle, and quietly vicious rather than dramatic. At times he was excluded from panels and advisory spaces where his findings should have made him indispensable. That is often how institutions punish inconvenient truth, not always by direct destruction, but by strategic marginalization. Yet Patterson kept going, because his evidence was too overwhelming to unsee and too serious to treat as academic trivia. He helped force broader recognition that lead contamination was not abstract environmental clutter, but a direct threat to human health. Children were especially vulnerable, making the issue not only scientific or political, but profoundly moral. The tragedy was that much of the poisoning had been normalized for so long that society struggled to feel its scale. People tend to fear explosions more than accumulation, even when accumulation quietly does the greater damage. Clair Patterson understood that modern America had mistaken convenience for safety and industrial success for innocence. His work contributed to the eventual movement that pushed lead out of gasoline and reduced widespread environmental exposure. The effects of that shift were enormous, though most people benefiting from it would never know his name. Millions grew up breathing less poison because one scientist refused to treat contamination as the unavoidable cost of progress. that should have made him one of the most publicly honored scientific figures in modern American memory. Instead, Clair Patterson remained comparatively obscure, respected in specialized circles, but absent from the wider national imagination. Perhaps that is because his story is difficult in the way truly important stories often are. He did not invent something glamorous or visible. He revealed that ordinary life itself had been made more dangerous than advertised. He reminds us that some of the most important heroes are not those who build loudly, but those who expose quietly. He also reminds us that progress without scrutiny can become its own form of public hazard. Patterson's legacy is not merely scientific precision, but moral precision, the refusal to look away once contamination had a name. He followed evidence where it led, even when it pointed directly into the machinery of American comfort and industry. That is a rarer form of courage than history often knows how to celebrate. Because the truth he uncovered did not flatter the nation, it accused it of poisoning itself for convenience. Clair Patterson did not vanish because his work mattered too little, but because it revealed too much about the price of modern life. And if his story unsettled you, the next may cut even deeper. Biography, the strategist behind a movement history tried to leave behind.